Hello everybody, Linda here, and this video we're going to go over the next project for our class, which is the Coding Systems PowerPoint rough draft. It will be due at the end of the week, and this is just a rough draft presentation, and we have the grading rubric included for you down here along with some instructions on recording narrations in PowerPoint. Okay, so we will take a quick look at the grade rubric, and this assignment really is to demonstrate your expertise in the various code sets. And what we're doing here is we're going to pretend that we're a coding supervisor and you're asked by your CFO of your hospital to create a presentation explaining medical coding. Okay, now you're going to be explaining medical coding to professionals such as doctors, nurses, other clinicians, and business executives. So they may be fine and familiar with medicine or even how to run a facility, but they're not very expert in medical coding. So they need to have a deeper understanding, and it is your job to educate them. Okay, so now with the PowerPoint that we're working on in this session, you don't necessarily have to put in a voiceover if you don't wish to, so that's okay. You can just let the PowerPoint slides speak for themselves, or I don't even mind if you want to add in the notes section of PowerPoint what you would say if you were to do a voiceover. So however you prefer to manage that is fine with me. Okay, but what we must cover in this is the definition of medical coding. We want an overview of each of the code sets. So you're going to have 3 code sets you need to explain: ICD, CPT, and HCPCS. In your explanation, you want to include when each code set is used. So for instance, ICD would be used to describe your diagnoses, CPT would be for procedures, and HCPCS would be for, say, durable medical equipment, drugs, things of that nature. So of course, don't use what I just said as the be-all in your presentation. I want you to offer your own explanation in your own words and make sure that these other professionals would really understand the differences between the code sets. Then we need to explain the impact of proper coding, and well, that goes far and wide. We discuss that a lot throughout your coding and billing program, so you should have some idea of what to include there. And last but not least, we need a scenario of coding for each a physician's office, a hospital inpatient, and hospital outpatient setting. So you're going to have 3 scenarios at minimum. If you feel you need to add in some more to fully explain how the code sets are used, be my guest. It is not a requirement. You only need to explain a physician's office, hospital, inpatient, and outpatient. That's it. Okay. And we also have an article here that we can refer to. So you want to control-click on that to open your article and get some insights on what you can include in your presentation. Consider what you learn in the article. Your PowerPoint must include written information or images on the slides. Again, voiceover is optional. Explain the 5 bulleted point areas listed above, which is what we just went over, so that's a must. You must include those. And the minimum length of the presentation is 7 slides. Okay, so for this week, end of week 3, I want a written draft of your script. So what do you plan to say? You don't necessarily need to turn in your PowerPoint this week. That will be due at the end of week 5. But this week is all about feedback, okay? So you want to give me your script so that I can see what you plan to say or write in your presentation. If you include your slides, I can give you better feedback, more detailed feedback. Okay, so that, again, I'll leave that up to you. At the very least, I need to see your script. It would be better if you could do script and slides. So once I give you feedback this week, you need to incorporate that feedback into your presentation and then turn your presentation in on the end of week 5. So you have, a good week to incorporate any changes. Hopefully, any recommendations I make to you will only be minimal. So the bulk of your work will already be completed before week 5 approaches. So everybody should be able to get your presentations polished up and turned in on time. Okay, just a few basic pointers. Make sure your PowerPoint is based on fact. Anything you refer to in an article that we've provided here in the rubric or any other source, please cite it. Do not plagiarize. Cite using a standardized format. Just copying and pasting a URL may or may not work. When I check your references, if your URL does not work, you will lose points. The whole point behind adding a citation is that so the person you're presenting to can actually look at your original source and compare it to what you said. It lends credibility to your project and believability and builds your reputation. So be sure to cite your sources properly. Information on that is included in the course announcements page. I believe I posted on November 7th. Tips and tricks for success in the course. So take a look there, and we have some suggestions for citation machines that makes the whole process very easy. So now we will move on and wrap this up. This is your grading rubric, so I will be grading you on the accuracy, thoroughness, and detail included in your medical coding definition. So the more detail you include, the higher your grade. Okay, then next is your code set overview that you're providing. So are your explanations detailed? The more detailed, the higher your grade. Same thing for the use of the code sets. The more detail you can offer, the higher your grade. Minimum necessary is going to get you a minimum grade. So go ahead. Don't be afraid to put too many details in there. I think with all we can discuss in coding, there isn't such a thing. We can never have too many details. Okay, again, the impact of proper coding. The more accurate, thorough, and detailed your description is, the higher your grade. And again, your scenarios. We want to have at least 3, and we need to make sure that those scenarios are detailed, correct, and appropriate for the setting that you're describing. Okay, you will be graded on your sources and overall outcome of the project if you've met the objectives. So, and that's it. So anyone has any questions, please reach out, please email me. I'll be happy to discuss the project further if you need it. Otherwise, good luck, and I can't wait to see what you've turned in.